Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft-related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And we have a fun video today. Make sure I got this lighting together. It's been a process of just trying to make sure this makes sense. But hello. Okay, so let me get started. This is going to be a fun topic. We're going to be talking about all things cottage witchery. Let me try to shut the phone down completely. All right, so I've got a combination of books, and Kindle books as well, because I have some stuff that I just have on Kindle. But if you saw from the thumbnail, we've got a couple different things and kind of a bonus book that I didn't show. But yeah, this is something that is kind of near and dear to me. I love talking about this. I don't see anybody here. I'm going to just keep talking. You catch it on the replay. Oh, somebody is here. Hi, Yinsky. It didn't show at first. Anyway, hello. Oh, well, no, it's not showing anything. You know what? I need to just stop talking and just keep going on with the topic. How y'all doing? All right, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, it's the oldest book. I think it might be the oldest book out of everything. I got this book many years. Let me see what the copyright is, because it's been a long time. Like it's been trying to find a copyright date, because there's a point to this. Yeah, this was 2018, and this is about the time, like right before then, I start realizing that cottage witchery was more of my practice than not. So this is the one. I'm hot. Hold on, let me turn my fan on. I'm hot. All right, let's get into this. It was a little too warm. Anywho, so the magical home, inspired ideas and simple spells for an enchanted life. You've got this book right. First of all, gorgeous book. This is just a pretty book to look at. It kind of, just looking at all the details, all the illustrations, it kind of makes you want to work in the book, to be honest with you. It called to me immediately. I got this years ago, but this is something that kind of stood out to me. Now, it's not like deep, but this is kind of like, it's more of a hands-on. It gets you to actually do something, get into an actual practice, but it is not overwhelming at all. Where did I want to start at with this one to kind of talk about it? So this is something, first of all, there's a theme within cottage witchery. So we come in, they're going to give you the introduction where the hearth is, or the heart is, excuse me, magical house makeover, secrets and spells for your sacred space. But the first thing you're going to get into is about divine decluttering. So there are some people who I know they don't really like the idea of focusing on house cleaning and just doing that sort of stuff. But here's the thing, it's your home. That's the practice. You're not gonna get, it doesn't mean that it's always gonna be done up and nice and neat all the time, that dust never collects, because boy, I'm in a battle all the time with dust here. Arizona's a very dusty place, very dirty place. So it's always dusty. So I'm not I don't have a house where it's oh, you never see, yeah, you take a white glove, you're going to find it, because I probably hadn't gotten to it yet. But cleanliness is up there. Now, and the other world where they say cleanliness is next to godliness. Okay, how about this? Not godliness, but decluttering and just having trying to maintain a clean space, making an attempt at keeping a clean space does connect to the spiritual. That is sort of built into being domestic magic. So that's if you are a cottage witch, if you call yourself a house witch, a hearth witch, so forth. Anywho, it's going to be a theme when you hear me talk about it. But I don't want you to think I'm running around like every day, like, oh, I got to do, like, like, look at, well, since I'm in this room and I'm touching it, I don't even like, I don't have like a steamer and I'm steaming my sheets every day. That's cute. I'm not going to do that. But I will make my bed up every day. You see what I mean about attempts? Like, I'm going to do that, but I'm not doing all these extra steps every single day. It doesn't have to be hard, is my point. Like, I don't want anybody to hear this and they're thinking, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Like, I don't want to always be cleaning up all the time. You're not. Moving on. But decluttering is important. It does something to your mind. Take the magical aspect out of it. It does something to your mind. It when you're in a space, no matter who you are, most of the time, if you're in a place that's really not being kept, everything's sort of out of place and it's not clean. You don't really, how do you feel comfortable in that? And usually the only way you do is if you're already in a state, usually depression, if you're going through your own sense of like internal overwhelm, anxiety, you just have your own issues and you might be in a state of freeze. I'm speaking from experience, by the way. I'm not like diagnosing people. I'm speaking from firsthand experience. And then when you get into that point of your life, that situation and you're in that stage, yeah, you can easily sit in a room with filth and stuff all around you and, everything just out of whack because it's just a reflection of you. My space tends to be a reflection of me. You see, there's a connection. So keep that in your head as I go through this book. But anyway, beautiful illustrations. Even to this day, I mean, I came back to it today to talk about it, but I have off and on gone back in this book, like to get ideas and stuff like that. When I was working on my Hearth Witchery, Book of Shadows, of course I know. I did do a quick glance here, like to get some ideas and stuff like that. Like, how do I want to arrange this? Like when I was brainstorming. This is a book I definitely went back to, but I think this is a fun, light, without feeling like too heavy. It's more doing, like I said, you read a little bit of something and then you do an activity. It inspires you. Everybody's talking about a Book of Shadows in every book I'm going to talk about. They're going to talk about some form of magical record keeping. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I like they're talking about feng shui and stuff like that. I don't use feng shui in my home. Like I don't subscribe to that. I'm not against it or anything like that. It's just not something that I do. I work with my own intuition on what makes sense in my home. As probably most of us do, right? They talk a lot about, like, not a lot, but there's in several of the books that I'm going to talk about, aromatherapy or the scent of your home, how that matters. I am somebody who uses a lot of natural things. I'll burn incense. I'll burn herbs, or I'll make a scented spray as well. But I also use some of the artificial stuff. So I buy commercial candles, like something you get at like Yankee Candle, Bath and Body Works, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll do a plug-in. I try not to do that all the time because I understand there's like a health impact to that. But I use them and I like that scent. Sometimes I want that more commercial, lack of better words, artificial scent. It's more aromatherapy for me. Ideally, I opt for natural though. I still love this book. I'm just going to tell you this. If you're interested, get this into your Witchy library. All the links are in the description for everything I'm going to go over. Anyway, but yeah, this is a good one to have. Even if you're not a cottage witch or you don't think that's your path, this is still good just to work some magic within the house. But they have some DIY beauty stuff here, which I remember making one of these before. I can't remember what, but I know I made something. I can't remember. I think it was the coconut colada sugar scrub. Listen, you use a cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of melted coconut oil, and a teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and ground cloves. This is right up my alley. This also, you know what, now that I'm thinking of it, this probably really inspired me with the idea of more scrubs than a spiritual bath. I'll do a scrub and kind of use that same intention, but for a scrub because I have a stand-up shower in my primary bath. And the other bathroom in the house does have a bath, but I'm not using that one. So I like mine. But yeah, this one's so good. It's just, look at it. It's so pretty. It's, I just want to show you. Yes, it's pretty, but it's actually got good information. I'm not leading you astray. Gardening, they cover so many topics. They never use the term, the magical home, inspired ideas and simple spells for an enchanted life. Rediscover the lovely feeling of home sweet home. Discover spells and rituals to bring peace and harmony into every room. Includes instructions and tips on making your own green household cleaners, in case you don't want to do the artificial stuff, as well as recipes for meals, preserves made with produce from the garden. So, yeah, they talk about domestic goddesses in here as well. Persephone being one of them, Hathor. So, one of my first goddess interactions that I can remember is working with Hathor. And I'm just going to read here. There's the section of goddesses of life and creation. Hathor, this cow goddess, represents life and was beloved in ancient Egypt for her ability to bring fertility. She was also associated with royalty, and her priests were artists, dancers, trained midwives, and seers. As the celestial cow, she held the golden disk of the sun between her horns. Hathor's other sacred animals include the lion, cobra, falcon, and hippopotamus. The sacred sistrum, a tattle, used in rattle, my goodness, was used to summon her. Mirrors were also a sacred tool. During spring rains and floods, you can stage a ritual dance for her to sanctify the joy of life and bless your newly planted garden. I do still work with Hathor to this day. It's not as the same way in the beginning, but I do still work with her, and I still work with, obviously, I work with Persephone. This is, goddesses of inspiration. I love this. So it's like chock full of information. There are guardian gods in here as well, if you are interested. So there is some, like I said, there's a lot of different information. A ritual guide to days of the week. So she kind of talks about that in here. So today is Friday. We already know, Venus Day. Friday is doubtless, what did she say? Is doubtless everybody's favorite day of the week, as it's ruled by Freya, the Nordic Venus, goddess of love. Friday is all about beauty, love, sex, fertility, friendships, and partnerships. The arts, harmony, music, bringing the new into your life, new energy, new people, new projects. She just goes on. This is it's like bite-sized information, like multiple things on a page, but you could build something from this. I just want to let you know, you could definitely build something out of this. So the magical home is a good one. It's a good one. I like this one. I think it's a little less serious approach. It seems fun, all the colors on the pages. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes you don't want to feel like it's oh, this feels really heavy right now. I gotta fix this light. 1 second. Y'all, I'm going through it today. I am going through it. Lighting, I'm getting hot. I think I need to put my hair up. I don't know what's happening. Well, y'all know what's happening. Y'all know what this is, the sudden heat. One, I live in a hot place, and the hormones are hormoning. Okay, next book. So, The Scent of Lemon and Rosemary. So this is by Rachel Henderson. I follow her on Instagram. I like Rachel. She's really into domestic magic, if you know her. I think she's also here on YouTube as well. Love her books. Love her books a lot. Let me, because I can see my phone's about to ring. Anyway, very good one. Now this one is Working Domestic Magic with Hestia. So I started actually working with Hestia, I think probably about a year ago. And I do have an altar set up in my kitchen. It's not something I feel like a need to tend to all the time, which is something I love about the way I practice my spirituality. I don't have this sense of urgency. I don't have this thing that I hear other people talk about where they make it seem like if they don't do certain things, their god, the god or goddess, or even their ancestors are gonna like attack them. Like, yeah, you ever talk to people who talk like that? They make it seem like I don't know, like like what? Wait, what kind of spirits are you working with? Where it's like you feel like they're gonna be angry and they're gonna turn on you. Like the relationship is extremely transactional. I don't have that type of relationship with any spirit where I feel like it is so transactional that if I don't keep up my end of the bargain, like they're going to do something to me or they're going to take back whatever I petition them to help me with. Like, I don't like that. Michelle Nielsen, hi. She says, I enjoy her. She has participated in. Oh, yeah, she has. I like her books. I actually signed up for a class that she did, and she was talking about Hestia. It was like a virtual class, and I think it was last year. And I took it, and I enjoyed the information. I think it was like a printout or something. I don't remember, but anyway, I saved all of it to a folder on my computer. And right about that time, it really helped me work with Hestia taking her class. So yes, I really like her too. I have another book. I didn't link it, but that's going to be kind of my bonus book that we'll talk about by her as well. That's what I got it down here. The Natural Home Wheel of the Year. That's another good one as well. But yeah, she's really into sort of the domestic magics, and I like her. So let me just tell you what this one's about. Tending the hearth and home with the magical energy of Hestia. She goes on saying, I'm just going to skip over a little bit. She says, a fabulous book of magical spells, crafts, and recipes for each room of your house based on the powerful energy and mythos of the goddess Hestia. These magical activities and workings can be practiced by anyone regardless of spiritual orientation. So you don't have to be a cottage witch. Most of them kind of say that you don't have to call yourself a house witch, a cottage witch, hearth witch, or something like that to kind of get the benefit from the book. And I agree. So, by the way, this is Rachel, if you didn't know. Don't look at my hands. My nails are getting done today. I've had a time. This was copyright 2021, so I've had this for a minute. So if you're curious, like what's in here, so there's like 12 chapters. She goes into Hestia and then the home and anatomy of comfort. And I like how she's going to do this breakdown, the book, the way it's set up. Like she's talking about making magic. Then it's like the different rooms of your house, the threshold, protecting your home, the kitchen, love and transformation. And then the next chapter is like the living room, communication and friendship, the bedroom, prosperity and sleep, the bathroom, purification and health. And then, it goes on breaking bread, feeding your body and spirit, cleaning, because cleaning's a thing. It's a thing anyway, but it's a thing in our practice. Creating your own will of the year and modern values, living justly in an unjust world. So, yeah, so there's some stuff in here that goes beyond. I do like the way she writes because I feel like it's approachable. When you're reading it, I like the way she writes. Very approachable. It doesn't feel like, you ever read some witchcraft books and it's a little too lofty? And then others, it's a little too academic. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's got to be a happy medium. And I think she does good at that. And it's more narration. So, for instance, there's this section here in Breaking Bed, Feeding Your Body and Spirit, Dishes. When I graduated from high school, I received several gifts. 3 of them, a slow cooker, an electric kettle, and a set of plastic cooking spoons. Ended up being the most useful and long-lasting of the bunch. The slow cooker served me for almost 20 years, and I still use the electric kettle and the spoons. Alternately, by my early 30s, I had in my possession 3 sets of dishes, each containing 12 place settings. I also had a sideboard that housed a great deal of crystal that had never left the box. All of it had come to me as hand-me-downs and gifts. For a family of 3, this was ridiculous. I had stored these sets for years out of the sense of obligation. And every time I saw the various plates and bowls and mugs, I felt guilty that I wasn't using them. That sort of emotional weight isn't something anyone should feel, especially with regard to anything dealing with eating. It took me, she said, it took my divorce for me to feel permitted to let go of it all. In the wake of donating the stoneware, porcelain, and crystal, I bought 4 place settings in a design and material I liked. Without the excess dishes, I had no need for the sideboard, another hand-me-down from my former mother-in-law that never suited my style, and donated it as well, leaving me with more space both physically and emotionally. And she's going to go on and talk about hand-me-downs and such. I'm going to say this. This resonated with me just at the small bit. And she goes on, your home should house items that make you feel safe and comforted on, or items toward which you have neutral feelings at the very least. This room that I'm sitting in is definitely that space for me. So when I was no longer, in my marriage, I had touched a lot of the places in the home, but one of the places that it's just I don't even understand what took me so long, because it was on my to do and I wanted to do things. And I'm not even going to say it was money because I was spending money to do other spaces. So I can't say it was money because I was already buying stuff. But good afternoon. So I finally got to the point where I was like, it is time. Like the energy, all the items, the vibrations. I don't want this. I don't want to keep holding on to this. And I said, this doesn't even really reflect who I am today. Remember I talked about like the home kind of reflects you. So it doesn't reflect my values, my tastes, who I am, the energy that I want to have when I walk into this space. So I changed it. And it was a process. And it was expensive. I bought, new mattress, new bed. I went down a size. I used to have king size. I went to a queen. I did, new flooring and all. I just changed the whole energy of the space. And new artwork, everything. That became so important to me as more than just something pretty to look at. Like there was energy tied to other stuff. And I was like, I don't want that energy anymore. I don't want to keep honestly having all those items like that make you feel some sort of way. And she's talking about like dishes in a place where you're trying to eat. Imagine where you're trying to rest, where you're your most vulnerable, where you go unconscious at night. You don't want that space to emit energy that you're no longer attracted to, you're no longer about. That's bigger than I think it's a bigger deal than a lot of people give credit for. This is why listen, my space, like I said, it gets messy. I'll do laundry. Actually, I'm off camera. I do have clean clothes that I just need to put away. I just need to hang them up. That's it. But so, real life, we all have that going on. However, I won't let it get out of control because I'm not going to rest well here. I'm not going to be me. It'll get to me. No. And I also know that's a sign that I'm not okay. So if I see it and I'm not doing anything about it, I start to question myself, why are we not doing anything about this? Why are we just leaving messes? Unless I'm really busy, but why? I know that's a bigger sign than something else. But anyway, things like this, it's not just about, make this floor wash and say this spell and, say these words and it's all done. It's so much more deeper than a lot of people give domestic magic credit for. It connects a lot. And there's another book I'm going to get to where we talk about shadow work and stuff like that. But this one is definitely, for me, I'm not going to say it's a must have, but there's some good information in here in this particular book. I enjoyed it, but there are parts that I enjoy more than others. Other parts, I don't know if it's necessarily resonates with me as much, or I needed the information, but that's me. For somebody else, it might be something more. She does have a couple of recipes in here, for a love candle spell, and there's some cute little drawn illustrations as well. If you were curious, there's not a lot of that in here, but it's some. if you were curious, a medium-sized lemon, because if you could see, look, she's making a candle and a lemon. You get it. So water, beeswax, dried rosemary, thyme, coconut oil, wood toothpicks, and then there's instructions on that. So yeah, not, I don't want to say not, what am I saying? I like it. I think it's worth having. I know for us who do have this book, because I've seen like reviews and I've seen other people do a review on this one. Like what I got out of it, a lot of other people did. If you're not, it's not all about Hestia, but there is some information about working with Hestia. If that's not, this is what I'm saying. If that's not kind of your thing, then maybe not so much. But if it is, if you're open, then yes. Next book. Let me get a sip of water. Okay. Hearth and Home Witchcraft by Jenny Blonde. Now, I just reviewed recently the Comfy Cozy Witch. She's the author of that as well. So this is another one of her books, and this is who Jenny Blonde is, if you're curious. That's her. So, for author Jenny Blonde, witchcraft is in itself comforting. A perfect blend of storytelling, witchcraft, and warmth. Hearth and Home Witchcraft will be accessible to any witch at any point in their journey. A book filled with information, ritual spell work, and recipes to nourish yourself, nourish your home, and nourish your spirit. Jenny's witchcraft is about connecting with nature, your higher self, and something beyond, a deity, spirit, the universe, and being comfortable with your true self in all aspects of your life. So, obviously, she's saying you don't necessarily have to call yourself, a hearth witch or something like that, home witch or cottage witch. However, if you do, this book makes sense to you. So I highlighted a couple things I want to talk about in this one. When she starts off, what's in a name? This book is for anyone. She makes a point to tell you this book is for anyone, whether you call yourself a witch or not. So we're not even getting to the term witch, who wants to create a comfy, cozy, and magical life. So one thing we got from that comfy, cozy book is she talks about this. To me, she kind of broadens it out even more so. You said you listen to her podcast and have both of her books. You love her approach. Wait, who are we talking about? The blonde or Rachel Henderson? I missed that part. Let me know when you get a chance. Yeah, she says, at its core, comfy, cozy witchcraft is all about finding and practicing comforting and nourishing hearth and home magic. So we're on the same page, me and her. House. So she's gonna go. What is comfy, cozy house? What is a comfy, cozy house witch? I promise. I mean, I definitely fit her definition, by the way. Jenny, thank you. House and home witchcraft is comfy and cozy grounding at its core, because she's going to talk about grounding. Related to the root chakra, the deep burgundies and reds and autumnal hues, and the mug of magical tea in your hands. And she just goes on about feeling safe and all that stuff, which ties into safety. So grounding, safety. She said, to me, a large part of hearth and home witchcraft is creating an environment of safety and comfort. Let's just say if you are dealing with someone who practices this type of magic, we're all really big into protection magic. Definitely myself. Safety is big. I can't, real big. Nourishment. Detailed kitchen witchery, complete with rituals and recipes. She's going to go over all that, but that's, kind of some kitchen magic. Self-care. And she says, self-care is one of the most... Oh, me and these dings. Let me turn off my notifications. Self-care is one of the most important aspects of my practice, because if I'm not taking care of myself, how can I possibly practice to the best of my ability? This right here, then she talked about sacred space, attitude, grace as well. These are the major components of being a comfy, cozy witch. Self-care is a big part of actually my practice. Everything I do, I'm just thinking, to me, that taps into my mental health, which taps into my spirituality. And self-care is knowing to rest, Yes, it's also beauty treatments and all that sort of stuff. Yes, it is for me. Um, it's taking time. It's knowing when to rest. It's knowing when to stop being observant and consuming and start creating. That's also self-care. Being creative is an act of self-care for me as well. When the more I do so, especially when it feels right, I may be physically tired, but depending on what I'm working on, but like actually almost anything, whether it's I'm painting something or I'm working and I'm creating pages in my book of shadows, or I'm writing, I feel like really tired afterwards. And it's a good tired, kind of like after a good workout, and you genuinely feel like tired, but it's like not tired like you're gonna go fall asleep, but like you feel like you did something. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And it feels good, like you really you challenged yourself. It's a good thing. I don't know. Anyway, but that's what I get from self-care. But then again, I point this out, I have an aggressive sun sign, so we tend to want more action, more activity type things as part of our self-care. Others, they might be like, oh, I don't want to do all that sort of stuff. Me, I kind of need to be somewhat normal. Somewhat normal. Um, she's going to talk about hearth and home deities, fairies, and spirits. She says, although by no means necessary, many domestic witches choose to work with a household deity either on its own or in addition to other deity work. You said, Michelle says, I totally agree with you on the self-care. I built a garden from scratch this year, and it was a major act of self-care, right? People don't understand. And it's like, oh, yeah, because you're going to grow vegetables and stuff like that, and it's going to nourish you. And it's like, I mean, yeah, yes, ultimately. But maybe I'm not. Maybe I just want something beautiful to look at. Do you understand how important it is to have something beautiful to look at for your mental health? Listen, it helps. It helps. Especially if you're in an environment where maybe it's not so pretty to look at. But she talks about choosing a deity, and she gives some Vesta. Hestia is on the list, by the way. There's a couple different. She talks about hobgoblins, brownies, foreign acts. So it gets a little, she goes into some stuff here. There's a house goddess ritual that's pretty cool. I like it here. I'm just going to read some of the words she says in here. Like, you need a brown candle, rosemary, some salt, and a lighter. She says, deities of domesticity, I light this candle for you, a representation of hearth and home. Bless this house and all within with protection and warmth. By the powers of fire and earth, this spell is spoke and sealed. Be it so. Very simple. Then she has a house fairy blessing. I like that. A warming incense to invoke Hestia. And then she goes into the wheel of the year. Most of the books are all going to talk about the wheel of the year. It's a big part of my practice. I mean, I'm going to say this. Could you be a cottage witch, a hearth witch without working in the wheel of the year? I mean, yes, but by design, you're going to at least be tuned into the cycles of nature because you're connected to nature, right? So you'll at least have that. So maybe you don't do the wheel of the year, but you're aware it's fall, you're aware it's summer, and you're working in that energy. Home of a hearth witch. She says, no two witches keep the same house. Sure, you may find some similarities when you really look, a depiction of a deity, crystals spread about, hidden altars, or ones out in the open, and overabundance of herbs and spices. Because some of us listen, you won't see an overabundance of herbs and things like that because they're in a cabinet. And it's not a glass cabinet, so you won't see it. But if you look, it'll be there. Everyone's ideas of comfort within witchcraft differs. There are, however, a few things that I find many practicing hearth witches have in common. Hearthcraft begins and ends in the home, particularly in the kitchen or living space. I agree. She goes on, house witches make their magic in the home, and for centuries that magic has surrounded the hearth and kitchen spaces. So it's no surprise that many practicing witches who call themselves domestic witches proclaim their power comes from home through kitchen witchery, through gardening, through crafting, me, and writing, also me, and through self-care rituals and nourish mind, body, and spirit. Then she goes on, she says, the other thing she lists is there is focus on cleanliness. Told you. They have positive, nurturing energy. I pride myself on that. There are subtle touches of magic, and that is something I sometimes call it whimsy. If you follow me on my other channel, Magical Lifestyle of a Cottage Witch, I recently did a project with my Cricut, and I made these 3D butterflies, and honestly, I didn't even get fancy. I just took like like Scotch tape, and I like folded around each other, and they're just on the wall. I didn't get any special glue thing or something like that to stick them on the wall. I just used tape and put them on the wall. If they fall down, I'll put them back up. But I have them like, it just looks like butterflies. You go check it out if you want after this, but it just looks like a swarm of butterflies, and I used a different paper to do it, but the color scheme are like, it's pink, a little bit of purple, white, that type of thing. And I have them all over my bookshelf as well. So for me, butterflies definitely they're like the result of transformation into something beautiful. And that's the little magic that's in a house. So if you come in, you're like, oh, this is cute. Like, it's not just decor. There's intention behind it. There's more behind it. But that's the little magic, like recently that I've done in my house. Then the last thing she mentions is they have reverence of nature and of all creatures. Witches, no matter what their path, have a deep veneration for natural world and all inhabitants. So it's not surprising that domestic witches often find themselves outside in the garden or cuddling next to one of their pets. Now let me just talk to you about this. So aesthetically, isn't it pretty and cute to just have this, you even like a cat, a black cat. If I was a cat person, first of all, I'm actually allergic to cats, but if I was a cat person, I probably would have had a black cat by now. That would have been my thing. I would have got a black cat for sure. I think they're cute. I think they're nice, but realistically, no. I can't handle it. I've had a dog before. I've actually owned a cat before. But I am allergic. It was a short experience in my life. Silly. I was a silly young person, and I needed a hug. I didn't need a cat. But anyway. You don't have to fit into an image if it's not you. I'm at a stage in my life, I have been taking care of people, beings, since I was 22 years old. I don't want to do that anymore. Outside of plants, that's about it. I'm not really interested in taking care of anything. This is a stage in my life where I would like to take all that nurturing, all of that energy, and put it on me, because I feel like I need to nurture myself. I need to, I need to focus it more on me at this stage in my life. At some point, I imagine grandkids are going to be coming eventually. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, or at least one of the two. So when and if that does happen, I can transition into being supportive and help with that. But right now, I am just not interested in taking on that. Taking care of animals, pets, and things like that. So I suggest, if you're interested in cottage witchery, try not to have a narrow view of trying to fit into a certain aesthetic and thinking you have to have a pet and you have to have a familiar. Even this is witchcraft in general. Like, no, I'm no less a witch, or especially a cottage witch, because I don't have any pets running around my home. You said, I've never wanted kids, so the past couple of years of cat ownership have been a new frontier for me. Oh, okay, yeah. She's bad as hell, but I love her, though. There you go. Hey, I've said that. Listen, there were times I said that. Oh, at least one. I ain't going to say who, at least one of my kids. Anyway. I will not say who. Neither one is watching this, but I don't want it to come back and haunt me later. Anyway, there is a goodwill porch ritual that she has in here, which I like. And then she has a note on material and fiber. I like these little asides in here. And she says there are touches of magic all around the home that may seem ordinary to the average person. When decorating, research the correspondences associated with the items and material used. Here's something that she provides, which I really like. There's a correspondence for fabrics, for fibers. So like for canvas, new beginnings, creativity, potential, cashmere, warmth, comfort, chiffon, feminine, delicacy, cotton, harvest, protection, good luck, denim, durability. And it goes on, like felt is protection, good luck, strength, abundance, lace is sensuality, feminine, linen is purity, rest, leather, protection, instinct. And I'll give you one last one, wool, renewal, hope, and comfort. Like, I like having these little bits of information. So she's breaking down about like the different aspects of your home, and she's providing like blessings and little spells or charms and things like that. There's definitely a section on candle magic. It's most of the information that you know as it relates to the hearth and home witchcraft, of course. Candle charms to bless your home. I like this. So like for the bedroom, she says, light a lavender or green candle and say, may this room be blessed with love, relaxation, and peace. I mean, you can add a little razzle-dazzle on that, but you got a base. For the kitchen, orange or red candle and say, may this hearth be blessed with the element of fire and nourishment. And it just goes on. So like if you have an office, light a green candle and say, may the space be blessed with productivity and increasing abundance. So good information there. It's not the same as this because she doesn't break down. She's taking sort of a different approach. I don't see an overlap. So if you were interested in this, you could still do this too. Fun fact, there's not a lot on the market for this yet. It's growing. Let me rephrase that. There's not a lot of books that you actually want to invest your time reading on the market for Cottage Witchery specifically, but Hearth Magick. Green Witch, yes, all day. You can find a bunch of stuff, but I think this is still like very niche for some people. I don't know why, but yeah, it is. There's a pet protection charm that she has here. I like that too. Let me get to I had highlighted another stuff on a page I want to talk about. So she's talking about, again, we talked about the cleaning, magical cleaning. The act of cleaning your house is one that holds much power. Everything is connected. Your external environment oftentimes mirrors your internal environment. So when we clean our homes, we're cleaning out our spirits as well. We're cleaning our spirits as well, she says, to some point. Cleaning tips. So she says, before cleaning, approach the task as something filled with magic rather than as a mundane household chore. Totally agree. I literally do this. Number 2, she says, make cleaning fun. Within realm. Yeah. Like, okay, let me tell you what she says. Light a candle to reflect your intention for cleaning, or turn on some of your favorite songs to dance and sing along to. For me, I'm going to have some music going. I'm looking forward to burning herbs as well, or burning a candle. Like, that's part of it because I'm a big aromatherapy person. Like, I like a good smell good. So I know when I wrap this up, it's going to smell fire in here. It's just going to smell real good. And I'm looking forward to that. But music is definitely a thing for me. I'm going to put some music on. Or if you're like me, I'll go on YouTube and I will find a cleaning video. So I'll have somebody else cleaning, and they usually have music going on, and we're just cleaning together. And I kind of like that. That's like if I'm out in the main like common area where I can see the TV. There is much power in using essential oils, not only for cleaning properties, but for their magical properties too. I agree. So if you could use a couple essential oils, rather than letting all the grime, dirt, and negativity energy build up for a big cleanse, do small cleanses more frequently. Well, we know that. We don't always do it, but that helps. Make sure you approach cleaning with a positive attitude. Okay. She said, I told you attitude will come up many times throughout this book. She did. She does talk about that. Your attitude will influence your cleaning and the energy you put into it. This also goes for cooking, cleaning, anything you're doing around the home, regardless of your practice. You do not want to be, you want to try to dispel um, negative emotions and feelings when you're doing these activities, because you are definitely putting that energy into the end result, whether it's the cleaning or the cooking or anything like that. Like I am very aware of the energy I'm bringing into those tasks. um I mean, you ever cook angry? First of all, you're gonna end up burning yourself or like cutting your finger because you're like moving too fast. You're not being patient. You're not really, or it won't taste right. You use the wrong ingredient. You leave something out, or you're so pissed off you don't even want to eat it after you cooked it. Like either way, it's just not a good time. Um, Now, rage cleaning I think is a thing. When I get anxious, I'll clean. One of my activities, little about me, one of the activities that I do if I feel like, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm really stressed, um, I'll vacuum. This is not like what I do, but like I'm saying, I'm cleaning anyway. I'll run that vacuum. It's just the act, or if I'll fold laundry, that it takes you out of your head or something, those repetitive things. The vacuum, because it's so, like the noise is doing something as well, it's kind of canceling out. It's hard to think with the noise going. I don't know, maybe it's me. She gives some common cleansing oils as far as for like the essential oils and stuff like that: eucalyptus, lavender, lemon, lime, peppermint, pine, and so forth. Um, I like this book a lot. This is something also I find that I also like to go back and reference. Speaking of emotions, working through emotions to stay comfy and balanced. So I highlighted a couple things that she said here. She said, release anger through chopping and pounding. She does caution to be careful though. Like chop with vigor. So it's like, I'm just going to let it out. That's different. Ground yourself using quick kitchen meditation, or work with an ingredient that comes directly from the earth, like a root vegetable, like carrots or potato or something like that. Shed unwanted thoughts and feelings by peeling back layers of an onion. This is obviously when you're in the kitchen. Peeling carrots or cucumbers, or washing dirt down the drain. Quell anxiety and bring in some calm by stirring or rhythmically mixing. I agree. Mixing, yeah, that'll do it. Give yourself a burst of energy by kneading some bread or shaking up a salad dressing mixture. Let me tell you, you want to do something, shake the, you put some, make your own salad dressing, or you have store-bought. This is what I do. And I'll put it in a container, something that won't leak out, and you shake the salad like violently. That helps too. That also helps. Makes it taste better. She gives a nice food blessing. Before you serve your meals, hold the food in front of you and say, I thank you, Goddess, for the food before me. May it provide nourishment, love, and abundance for all who eat it. Simple. I would add more razzle dazzle, but it's simple. Again, a lot of this, when you read books like this, you get a base. She's giving you a base. Do your own thing with it. She goes into talking about sacred spaces. Actually, I like what she talks about. But this part here, unfortunately, many people fall into the trap of being witchy looking. We talked about this Wednesday. Witchy looking, of doing things because of an aesthetic tells them so. I want to be clear, and this may ruffle some feathers. Aesthetic is a way to brand, and being branded a certain way or labeled a certain thing is a symptom of modern society. She says, I'm not looking to brand my spirituality. I'm looking to experience it. And you should approach your practice this way as well. And I totally agree. I totally agree. I like this lady. I like the way she writes as well. So I think that was all that I wanted to highlight from this book. Creating her rituals. She's talking about everyday rituals is in the back. Makes me think of Deborah Blake's book, Everyday Rituals, which is a good book. It gets you going. Deborah Blake is wicked, and her books are definitely written from a Wiccan. Like, so, but I'm okay with that because I feel like there's overlap in modern witchcraft anyway. But, I like her books. Finding magic in the everyday things. She talks about creating a morning ritual. I agree. Creating a nightly ritual also, and connecting with the elements. And she gives a breakdown about that. Magic with children, she goes into that. This is still in the everyday section. If possible, I think you can kind of experience that with your pets as well. Then there's some daily mini rituals. So I'm going to go over this and then we'll wrap this one up. Stir tea or coffee, right? Wear enchanted jewelry. Make a protection pouch. Meditate. Intentionally light a candle. As soon as you wake up, light a white candle. Invite your guides. Something like that. Step outside. Stretch. Speak with gratitude. Take a magical cleansing shower. Play music. Yup. Move. Exercise is a great way to raise energy. And exercise is dance as well. Pull a card. Touch your altar. Get crafty. Read. I do that. Communicate. Make affirmations. And she just goes on with a couple recipes and things like that. But Hearth and Home Witchcraft, I think this is actually excellent to add to your practice. This is a good one. And sometimes when I'm reading this and I was like, damn, she just there's so much information in here and it kind of goes deeper than you think, but you never feel like I never feel like she's taking me so far out, you kind of lost the plot on what we were talking about, but it does get deep. I really, really like this book. This is actually one of my favorite books. I didn't realize that until I reviewed this. I read this before, but boy, oh boy, I really like this book. For your practice, I think it embodies a lot. Now, the next book, 25 Enchanting Projects to Make Your Home More Sacred, The Cottage Witch's Guide to Magic. So this is another one. Now, this is by Suzanne Lemon. This is her book. So that we're getting into something a little more. It's kind of like how we talked about the magical home. This is more like you're reading some stuff, but you can do something. This is definitely about projects. So let's get into this one. Beautiful book. Imagery, absolutely beautiful. So if you just want something, I don't want to say pretty to look at, but yeah, this book is pretty. And it's shiny. The pages are shiny. I like this book a lot. So I didn't highlight. I just kind of just want to show you why this book, because it's so nice and it gives me so many ideas, like a crescent moon wreath. That is so pretty. And she's not just like doing that. Step-by-step color instructions. I love this book. I love this for that reason. It's all like the witch's wand. I'm going to give you something. I like a herb drying rack. Okay. Let me really let you see. Oop. Get this in there. Can't. Yeah. But step by step. She's going to walk you through it. For some of us visual learners, we really need to see it that way. Yeah. There are affirmation vials. This is what I wanted to do because I think I want to do this project for myself. Affirmation vials. I know I am. I'm going to probably film something like this though. And you just put, it just says like, I am protected. You put a little label or something like that. I love this idea. And yeah, so how would me personally, how I would use this, as she goes on, it says affirmations are magical. One of the most popular items I make are my affirmation vials. These are small enough to keep anywhere next to your bed, in the office, at work, or hanging from your car's rear view mirror. I love that idea. I absolutely love this idea for that purpose. But yeah, I would use these. Honestly, I want to put, my bathroom counter a couple different things, and I would love to see like some of these vials with affirmations, something I get to see every day, or in my makeup vanity. I might hang them or something like that. But yeah, I love this idea. This is good for the doing. So we want to add some decor. You want it to be more natural. This is good for the doing part of cottage witchery. She even talks about like how to dry oranges and apples. I'm in a process of actually working a project right now. I'm gonna making yeah, it's for the kitchen. So I'm drawing some literally as we speak, and I have another orange I have to slice up, and I have to start the drying process for it. But I don't want to say must have, but it's fun. The Cottage Witch's Guides Magic. If you're looking for projects and things like that, I mean, listen, you can go on Pinterest and probably have the same effect. You don't necessarily have to buy something like this. However, I think it's good sometimes to have it, and I like her step-by-step instructions. So this is another one. Yeah, it's up to you. It's, if you're looking for projects, if you're looking to do something like that, this makes sense. So now we're going to get to something I know a lot of people are already probably familiar with this book, or maybe not. Oh, I didn't put it on here. I was looking at the House Witch. That was the other one. Wait, I'm throwing myself off. Yeah, the House Witch. Did I mention this one? Did I put this on the thing? Maybe this was my bonus book. I don't remember. But anyway, this is the House Witch. If you didn't know, this is it. Let me see if I can get this without it doing too much of a glare. Your complete guide to creating a magical space with rituals and spells for hearth and home. I don't know if I actually added this one to my list. Maybe I didn't. Forgive me if I didn't. I'll have to go back and adjust it. But anyway, the House Witch is, I read this actually, well, I listened to the audiobook in 2019 on a road trip from Florida to here to Arizona. This is one of the books that I had on audiobook in the car listening to when we drove here. The whole family, we all came here. We didn't all want to listen to the same things. I had my headphones on. But anyway, the whole book. That wasn't on your list in the description. Thank you. I was like, I don't think it was. And I forgot. This is my bad. I'll go back in and give you guys the link and all that to it. But the House Witch, oh my God, this is by Erin Murphy Hiscock. She writes a lot of, I'm looking on my shelf. I got a bunch of her books. Book of Shadows. I think she does like, dang, I can't remember how it starts off. But I love her books. This one was pretty good. Honest, if I'm being honest, this one is better than this one. Hearth and Home Witchcraft is actually, it's better. I'm just going to say that. There's a lot of information I got out of here when she talks about the hearth magic, all that sort of stuff. She also breaks down the magic of the cauldron, your spiritual health, kitchen as a sacred space, using hearthcraft to protect your home. Like, I'm good on most of it here. You have almost all of them, right? I'm a fan. If you got this one, definitely there's some great information to work in here. You can definitely kind of build a practice based on this book alone. You could. I think this one's a little bit more approachable. But that's not to say, but maybe top two. Maybe top two. Yeah, maybe my top two. Right now, we're talking like current times, like the current books. Lighting the oil lamp or candle, consecrating candles or fuel. She's talking about like spells and rituals. I do like those here. Like there's a doorstep cleansing that she has here. And it's pretty simple. She says vinegar is a great negativity buster, as in salt, cloves, add a kick of purifying energy. So like water, vinegar, salt, cloves, a bucket and washcloth to kind of clean off your doorstep. I like that. Simple, but it's effective. Again, it's a base. You can add more. Michelle says, my very first witchy book I ever read was The Green Witch, and it's still a favorite. Yes. There's a house blessing that I like. There's good information in here. I don't want you guys to think like, oh, it's not that, as it almost pulls out my hand. It's good. But I think this one's just a little bit more hurt. yeah, I think she's the comfy cozy. Or maybe it just appeals to me at this stage in my life. Because at the time I thought this was the bee's knees when I heard the audiobook. Like, I was enthralled listening. I listened to the whole book. It was a long ride. We were in a car for like, what, 2-3 days? I don't know. It was a long drive coming here from Florida. Drove across the country. And I wasn't like at the top of Florida. I was toward the bottom. It takes like 5 hours to get, if you're like further south, to get out of Florida. So my goodness, it was a journey. But anyway, it's a lot of good information in here. Like a lot. So I definitely advocate for this one to add to your witchy closet, or excuse me, closet. Well, yeah, to your witchy closet, your bookshelf. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you a surprise. It was a surprise to me because I didn't think I was going to like it this much. Because it was Kindle and I got to stop being that way. I've been burnt in the past by Kindle books, where it wasn't good information, but hopefully this is the case. Let me turn up the backlight. This one is the Cottage Witchery Book of Shadows and Practical Magic by Kimberly Renee. This one. I really like this book. Like, I really like this book. This is copyright just last year, so this just recently came out. She's the author of a bunch of books, apparently, and I think I've read one of her other books, but she's got, like, Cottage Witches Crystal Magic, Cottage Witchery A Beginner's Guide, Cottage Witches Apothecary, Kitchen Witchery. These are all Cottage Witch related. Fairy Magic. I think I have that book. Yeah, Cottage Witches Fairy Magic. Maybe that's the one I have. Cottage Witch's Guide to Potions, Oils, Recipes, Spells, and Rituals. Like, she's got a bunch of stuff that she has written. I love that, by the way. This was actually really good and really informative. Dang, let me get to my notes here. I say this, I was genuinely, pleasantly surprised that I liked it so much. The more I delved into cottage witchery, the more I found that it thrived on simplicity and presence. My tiny home transformed into an altar of sorts. I carefully curated a space filled with plants, crystals, and handcrafted candles. That's me. Over time, I found solace and empowerment in this practice. I discovered that cottage witchery was not solely about performing rituals, but about cultivating an awareness of small magic around me. The way sunlight filtered through the leaves, the comforting scent of fresh herbs, and even the warmth of my cup of tea as I took time for myself. Each small act felt like a stitch in the tapestry of life, binding me closer to the magical essence that existed in the ordinary. That touched my heart reading that, because that's kind of been my experience as well. Introduction to Cottage Witchery. She says, Cottage Witchery, a gentle and introspective practice within the broader realm of witchcraft, is a celebration of simplicity, homeliness, and an intimate connection to nature. I would like to introduce you to the fundamental tenets of cottage witchcraft, the sacredness of home and hearth, and personal reflections on the transformative journey of becoming a cottage witch. This took me on a pleasant ride reading this book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This one I would definitely, it's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't completely have the hold of Amazon release at this time. I sell products on Amazon. We gonna have to work through what we work through. Listen, they got us boxed in. I don't shop at Target. I can't really just only shop at my local grocery stores because they're very expensive and we all are struggling. I can't buy everything at the grocery store, so I end up at Walmart. Don't love Walmart. I feel like they got us right now. I hate that feeling too. But anyway, so if you were wondering, I'm happy to see this is on Kindle Unlimited. I already downloaded. Yeah, you should. It's good. So then there's another section, the significance of home and hearth and witchcraft. Home is much more than a physical shelter. It's a sanctuary for the spirit. I agree. In cottage witchcraft, the concept of home extends beyond walls and furnishings to encompass the emotional and spiritual landscapes they hold. I love this. I mean, obviously, as a cottage witch, I believe that, and she's tapped in. But like sometimes, and even in some of the other books, excuse me, outside of hers, again, remember I said sometimes they get a little too lofty. They lament, and it's a little too romantic. And I'm like, I mean, that's nice, and I like that too. But let's get to the real stuff. And sometimes an author, I feel like they never get to it. Excuse me, as I almost choked to death. Creating sacred space. Excuse me. Creating sacred space is a cottage which has been an enchanting journey filled with intention, mindfulness, and connection to the natural world. I agree. She talks about, I take time to clear out physical clutter because that's a part of the practice. Understanding that a tidy space promotes clarity in both mind and spirit. I did warn you if if you didn't listen, and if you're just coming in. You have to care about cleanliness. I'm not saying you have to be a neat freak, but at least declutter. Like just having now don't get me wrong. I'm a maximalist, so having items does not mean clutter to me. This is personal, right? To somebody else, they might see like my shelves and like, oh, this is just too messy. There's just too much stuff. That's a personal taste thing. To me, it makes sense how I have it arranged. I also know what cluttered looks like to me. So, it's personal. It's all relative, right? Then, where's my other note? Chapter 3, the Book of Shadows. So, guess what? You're not going to get away from it. I'm not going to stop talking about it. You need to write your stuff down. She said, I set out to create my Book of Shadows with intention, envisioning it as an extension of my spirit in the hearth of my cottage. I definitely understand that and relate to that. She says, as the season turned, there's some information in between. My Book of Shadows grew rich in spirit and form. Each time I open its pages now, I'm reminded of the journey I took to create it, the lessons learned, and the magic woven into every corner. My Book of Shadows became a beloved companion, my guide through the winding path of witchery that is uniquely mine. She said it best. As y'all know, I'm always advocating to write your stuff down. You can go as far as, and I've actually done this several times. I wrote the spell down. I read the charm. It all worked. Basically, I did a whole working from my Book of Shadows. There was no tool, nothing else. The only tool was the book and the pen. And me using, my breath, my words. She goes into elemental rituals and representations in the home. I like her approach, like the earth and home. Now, I've read something out of one of these other books. I think it was this one she talked about it. But here, decorate with earthy tones, stones, crystals. And she gives you a list like elemental air. Create a small altar dedicated to earth using soil, wood, and stuff like that. And she goes on like air in the home, open spaces, fire, candle lighting, dynamic art, water features, fountains, things of that nature, using the color blue and silver and things like that. You can represent that as well. There is a chapter on crystals and gemstones. She says, here are a few crystals that resonate particularly well with the cottage witch ethos. Amethyst, I agree. Rose quartz is the fact that I have all these. Black tourmaline, citrine, clear quartz, moonstone, selenite, malachite, and tiger's eye. Those are my main, maybe not the malachite one, but outside of that, I work with all these other ones really often. I mean, yes, I've thought about it, but like they're definitely they fit. It fits the cottage witch lifestyle. I totally agree with her on this. Let me get to the next thing. Ooh, I like when she talks about divination. and she gave me an idea. She says leaves and petals. She's like, she likes doing leaf reading. Collect fallen leaves, spread them out on the table, look for patterns, colors, even imperfections. Each leaf, she says, seem to tell its own story. So you could use that for divination. Another thing is the flowers. Gather flowers from the garden, lay the petals in a circle. She said interpretation was often intuitive. The way the petals landed, their vibrancy, even the arrangement would guide me toward understanding my inner landscape and the questions I was grappling with. That's my kind of thing. I like that. Let's get to the next note. Yeah, she says divination is as much about intuition as it is about the tools themselves. As someone who reads cards, I agree. I'm seeing the card, but I'm never ignoring the little whisper, the little thought form that pops in that sort of ties in. Or if I'm giving a reading, sometimes I realize that the message, there's a question, but maybe it's not the right question. And I feel like I'm being steered in another direction. That's always interesting when that happens, because it's like now, so like the intuitive part, there's the cards, but like I've got to translate all this to this person and try to explain to them, well, you asked this question, but I think, why don't we focus on this instead? I mean, this is actually what you really want to know. Am I right? You know, some people are open to that, some people are not. But anyway, intuition is a big part. She talks about nature spirits as well. To connect, like nature spirits, she said, to connect with these beings, a witch must cultivate a relationship that transcends mere observation and fosters genuine communication. It's a lot more depth and seriousness to this book than I thought, than what meets the eye. She talks about ancestral connections. In Cottage Witchery, one recognizes that their spirits guide and protect us, offering insight derived from generations past. You see how she broke that down? She could have said ancestor veneration. She's talking about ancestral connections. I like the way that she approaches this. It's very respectful. She talks about doing genealogy exploration, ancestral altars, dream work, and meditation. Understanding the role of folklore and mythology in cottage witchery. There's a good amount of information here. She didn't have to go into this, and I appreciate it. She talked about community and collaboration, building a supportive witch community, because it's important. Sometimes people get this idea, and maybe for some this is their life, but being a cottage witch means you're just kind of like, you know, I think people confuse it with the, you know, some of us, the dream of like being in the middle of the forest or someplace where there's no other people and you're just one with the animals and the land and nature and so forth. That's beautiful as well. However, at some point, most, believe it or not, humans, we're social creatures, and it's okay to want to interact with people who are into things that you're into, like maybe your spiritual practice. She talks about intentional networking. To build a community, begin by identifying your goals. Are you seeking like-minded individuals for friendship, collaboration on rituals, or research for learning? Like, figure that out. Are you wanting help to help guide you, and you want a relationship built from that? Or are you just wanting to just share? You know, you're not necessarily looking for someone to teach you anything or to guide you. You just want to kind of bounce off of somebody. Or maybe you have something even more informal. You know, just somebody who's a little comfortable with the woo. Or you're wanting a coven, not necessarily for guidance, because there's different types of covens. There are teaching covens, learning covens, and there's others where it's more like a friendship circle more than anything. I like the idea of the friendship circle one. She talks about inclusivity and respect, creating a safe space, and then collaborative rituals and gatherings. Like she's touching on stuff that maybe not everybody else. Oh, definitely, I didn't see too much of that in the other books. So this actually was pretty in depth. How to find and honor your familiar. So there's a section on that. This is what kind of like shocked me. Chapter 18, Shadow Work. In the rich tapestry of cottage witchery, where magic intertwines with the mundane, lies an often overlooked but profoundly transformative practice, shadow work. I agree. Through understanding the deeper aspects of ourselves, the shadows, we can cultivate balance in our lives and align our magical practices with our true selves. I highlighted some additional things that I wanted to just highlight for myself, but I will read this one thing. To embrace shadow work within cottage witchery, practitioners can start by recognizing the cyclical rhythms of nature, seeing themselves reflected in the phases of the moon, the seasons, and the cycle of life. This is something I'm doing, and to me, I think almost seasons of life, and for me, just like the thing, because I work with the wheel of the year, but I think of autumn, of fall, and I feel like this is the stage of life that I'm entering in. And I have entered. I still feel like it's a moving process, but I feel like when you leave your 40s and you enter into your 50s, I feel like this is like the autumn for a lot of us. That's not a negative. A lot of people, when you think of autumn, you're like, oh no, everything's changing. Yes, it is. Everything is changing. It doesn't mean things are not still vibrant and vital. It doesn't mean it's winter. There is obvious change. A lot of us, the gray that we kept at bay, some of us were lucky not to ever really have any gray in our 40s. Now you can't keep it at bay. Like, you can't help but notice fall is one of those times you see the drastic changes. And it kind of feels like it happened overnight. One day you just go outside and you're like, dang, all the leaves are falling off the tree. The weather, it's kind of chilly, but other days, it's still warm. That is what it is to be me at this stage of my life. There's a lot of inconsistencies. I'm just going to say that the body's doing. But even honestly, spiritually, I'm at the stage now where I've put so much into witchcraft. I've devoted so much energy into my practice, into my practice. A lot of it is in the stage of reaping now. So autumn, a lot of times you're reaping, your harvest. It's time for harvest, for this stage, and also to keep me until, the winter phase as well. But when it's my time, I'll embrace it. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not, ready for that aspect of my life. But definitely, I do. I that connected with me so much, and I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because it's so, I don't know, so in the forefront of my mind right now. And then they talk about the importance of balance in the witch's journey. In the practice of cottage witchery, balance forms the cornerstone of success and harmony. I'm fighting for balance daily. So this is, yeah, she's right. Embracing both light and dark cultivates a more nuanced perspective on life, meaning, honey, it ain't all light and love. Oh, I'm a light and love. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong as long as you recognize duality, as long as you're not only focusing on that. She talks about self-care becomes paramount in this journey. Yeah. Community matters. Sharing the journey with like-minded practitioners creates a support network to help process emotions and insight. I'm so grateful to my coven because I do have that. She's right. That it has, at this stage, it's been super important to have community. Grounding and protection techniques. She says grounding allows us to connect with the earth and cultivate inner balance, while protection techniques safeguard our energy and environment from negativity. So she goes into that. This is like I said, and there's just a lot more. This was, I was kind of floored at how deep this book went. I took a gamble. I took a gamble on it because I was like, oh, I want, read stuff on cottage witchery and stuff like that. I'm always, wanting to be inspired. I was shocked. It was really good. Chapter 20 are remedies and recipes. So she goes into a bunch, and there's like a lot. Everything from like a simple tea to salves, and it's nothing in here that you can't get a hold of. Most of the stuff you're going to be like exfoliating coffee scrub, tinctures. I love this. There's a vanilla extract recipe in here too. So like it's stuff that you can do. So this is definitely one. Yes, as I said, I was shocked at how good this book was, and I probably shouldn't be, but yeah, I was. Cottage Witchery, Book of Shadows, and Practical Magic this is a really good book. Solid information. You could definitely build something from this. So if you were like, hey, this is something I feel called to, I'm using my own intuition, but I would like a little bit of guidance. I definitely think between this one and this one, yeah, you can build something from that for yourself. So those are all the books that I was going to talk about. And I said House Witch, that wasn't the bonus book. The bonus book was also by Rachel Henderson. This is kind of my pride. I like this book a lot. I like having this. It's yeah, she did a big one with this one. This is such a beautiful book. There's a lot. It's like recipes, crafts, and activities to inspire your creativity and bring more meaning to every season. So that's what this one has. So if you like, Letha will be the next one. We just had Beltane, right? So here's something. She has a goddess sculpture, which I plan on doing, by the way. That's this. And it's color. Beautiful book. Absolutely stunning book. Natural confetti. Jar luminary, glass stones, and she says there's essential oil bug spray. Look at that. So like you can make this as a craft. And this is so cute. I love this. I would have this out back. And she does give you some diagrams. It's not like the other book. But this is kind of a bonus book that I would suggest if you were into the Wheel of the Year or something like that. To work with that book, which I know I didn't link that book, by the way. And of course, as I struggle to record all of your information, get the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch, available at leaptaken.com, Amazon, and I'm also on the TikTok shop. This is by moi. So yes, so this is my copy. So I have I showed this particular page. I personally leave it blank and I'll come back, but this is a page that I added to my book. But if you are curious, there's a bunch of information, relevant information to the Hearth Witch up front to kind of get you started, get your juices flowing, give you some information, and then the rest are going to be blank pages for you to fill in. Let me show you a blank page. There's beautiful, simple illustrations. Ideally, that makes sense for the Cottage Witch, but plenty of blank space to work with. So this is the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch. The whole purpose of this, you do get relevant, very, what's the word? I want to say not thought-provoking, but like inspirational information, but knowledge. You're getting knowledge about Hearth Witchery. This also works for the Cottage Witch. I use this the same. I use those terms interchangeably: Hearth Witch, Cottage Witch, Domestic Witch. I think they're all encompassing. We're all talking kind of the same thing. Even with this other book, Jenny Blonde, the Comfy Cozy Witch. Girl, same. Comfy Cozy, Cottage Witch. I could easily call myself a Comfy Cozy Cottage Witch. But yeah, this is the place that I like to record that information. Now. So, and I made it so everybody else could use this as well. So here you go. So that is all. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, hit the like button, thumbs up, all that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the join button to join Leap Taken's membership. It supports the channel. You get wonderful perks like a deep 40% discount on everything over at leaptaken.com. I have another channel, by the way, Magical Lifestyle of a Cottage Witch. All the links are in the description for the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch as well. And go to my website, leaptaken.com. Book me for a reading. Look at the moon readings that I offer and some of the other services that I have as well. And leave a comment if you have any questions. And if you were curious, on the website, if once you register, of course, you can actually send me a message that way as well. So if there was something you were interested in, this is a common thing I just want to let everybody know. A lot of times people will ask me first, like, does this make sense before I do this? Like, I'm curious about such and such. Do you do this? Please go and feel free. I don't mind answering questions. I answer within about 24 hours. Thank you. You enjoy these reviews. I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope everybody have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers of all types. Happy Mother's Day. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here and go on with my day. All right. Bye.